A new financial crisis has developed recently in America, says stock market expert Matt McCall. And the trail of destruction it could leave behind will look nothing like what you might expect. In fact, McCall warns nearly 40% of the elite, publicly traded companies, brands you've known and used your whole life, could go bankrupt because of a strange market event he calls the flippening, wiping out thousands of investors' fortunes. McCall has written a brand new report explaining exactly what the flippening is, how billionaires are already profiting from this big event, and what you should be doing to prepare as well. To get a copy of his new free report with all the details, simply go to stockmarketflip.com. Again, that's stockmarketflip.com for a free copy of our report. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone. Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show here on Stansberry Research. And our summer series continues. And how can it be a summer series without the man that always understands the assignment? Please welcome back to the show, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. Gerald, my friend, welcome back. Good to see you.
Oh, it's great being on. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start with Gerald's take on the economy today. Let me just paint the picture for everyone at home right now. U.S. inflation, 4-decade record high, over 9%. 2-year yield gaining to just above 2.9%, meaning the closely watched 2-year, 10-year yield curve remains inverted, a sign of an impending recession. And we have Wall Street coming off its strongest month since 2020 as investors found a relief rally after months of deepening pessimism. But is it just providing fake optimism? Well, that's what I want to hear from Gerald today, getting his thoughts. Let's start on inflation, Gerald. Have we reached a peak?
Oh, no, inflation is only temporary. Oh, no, it's only transitory. And look at the crap that they've been selling for over a year and a half. Temporary, it's not real, it's only transitory. And then we have Janet Yellen, who back in April of 2021 said, no, this inflation isn't real. Now she's saying the recession isn't real. So if they're spewing out the same garbage, we should swallow it. Because after all, they've been totally wrong before, so they must be right now. Or else they were lying about it. Because everybody knew inflation was real. But they wanted to keep those zero interest rate policies so they could keep the equity markets going up. What did they pump in? $6.3 trillion, the government, to fight the COVID war? Oh, that's not inflationary. It's the Russians that did it. It's a freak show in front of our eyes. The whole game is rigged. Hey, they just got a guy that was the head of the FDA that regulated the tobacco industry. Guess where he just went? Oh, it was reported last week. Philip Morris. Oh, who's the guy that play our defense contractor? Oh, you mean Lloyd Austin that came off the board of directors of Raytheon? It's one big club and you ain't in it. The whole game is rigged. As you said, inflation, what were they said in the GDP decline, 0.9%? And the streets said it was going to go up 0.2%. Inflation came up, at 9.1%, and the markets went up? I mean, come on.
Let me just ask you this question, Gerald. Why not just keep the good times rolling then and just, why stop the money printing? Just keep it going.
They're doing everything they can to do it. The market should have crashed back in 2020 when they launched the COVID war. It should have been over. The businesses have been destroyed. The damage that this COVID war has done is incalculable. Hey, let's not talk about office occupancy rates in America. They're only, around 40%. Cities like in New York, 35%. All those businesses, the dry cleaners, and the shoe repair, the hairdressers, happy hours, all gone. And now I'm renting, let's say I have 8 stories of a building. My people don't want to commute an hour and a half anymore on the LIE. They hated it, going an hour and a half back and forth. I'll work from home 3 days a week. Great. I'll save on rent. This is for real. Office occupancy rates in New York City, in Chicago, in San Francisco. They're in the toilet, and so are the businesses. Before this happened in 2000, you're in New York. Before this happened in 2019, there were for rent signs all over the place. Now look at it. The damage that this has done, the businesses that have been put out of business. Oh, I went out of business, now I'm going to come back again? I'm telling you, it's incalculable. The damage that is done. We are in for the worst socioeconomic and geopolitical crisis in modern history.
Let me ask you this. So now they're saying, okay, forget about the Build Back Better, Gerald. There's a new bill in town, and it's called the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. If it becomes law, the Democrats say it would reduce the deficit, cut federal spending on prescription drugs, and provide hundreds of billions of dollars to help the country address climate change. Okay, so now you're just pumping more money into the system. How does this fight inflation? Am I wrong in my reasoning here? That there's something off?
Tell me one brilliant thing the federal government has done in my lifetime. And I'm 75 years old. What have they ever done? They're a bunch of losers. They're freaks. I don't know how people could look up to these clowns. Look at them. Look at them. Oh, Mitch McConnell, now there's a brilliant guy. Oh, Nancy Pelosi. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Oh, again, it's one big club and you ain't in it, as George Carlin said. Who's Nancy Pelosi's father? Oh, the mayor of Baltimore at the top. Oh, yeah, who was George E. Bush? Oh, my daddy was a president. My grandpa was Prescott Bush. Who was Andy Cuomo? I'm going to rename the Tappan Zee Bridge after my daddy. I mean, look at the freak show. They don't know what they're doing. Look, I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at 26 years old. The people that are running the government are the people I hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president or head of the student council.
Oh, no.
They're arrogant little jerks.
Gerald, I was head of my student council, so I hope you wouldn't have hated me.
No, but you know what I'm talking about.
I do, but I want to stop you there because you mentioned Nancy Pelosi. There's a lot of news items circling around Nancy, who I know you adore. One clip, I think, has got to be the clip of the summer. I'm sure you saw it, where she basically completely dodged a reporter question about insider trading and whether her husband sold stocks based on some information he had received from her. She completely dodged the question.
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he received from you?
No, absolutely not. Okay, thank you.
And now, after all this, there's talk that the Democrats may soon introduce legislation to ban members of Congress, senior staff, potentially their spouses, from buying, selling, or trading stocks. What do you make of the timing of this? And is it the right call?
It's nothing. I mean, look at the guy. What are they worth? About $500 million or something? Again, he only bet $1 million. Oh, I bet $1 million playing the markets all the time. What, are you kidding me? The whole game is rigged. You asked me about the markets, the equities. We are in for the greatest collapse of all times. All they're doing is artificially pumping it up. And that's it. The bigs just want to get bigger, and the rich just want to get richer.
Just sticking to Nancy Pelosi on another topic, Gerald, and I know you speak often about the politics of it all. She's, beginning her Asia tour. China has warned against her visiting Taiwan. I want to understand the repercussions of this.
What is she? You may never have me on again because I'm a believer in peace and freedom. What's going on in Taiwan, I mean, you're not allowed to talk about peace anymore. You get banned on all the media. Only war is the only talk you're allowed to talk about. So when you talk about Nancy Pelosi, there was a man by the name of, they really don't like this guy. His name was George Washington, the first president of the United States. He warns the American people in his farewell address not to get involved in foreign entanglements. He says harmony, liberal intercourse with all nations are recommended by policy, humanity, and interest. He goes on to say that avoid avenues to foreign influence in innumerable ways. You ready? Such attachments are particularly alarming to the truly enlightened and independent patriots. Who's George Washington? Oh, this is a real guy that actually fought. Oh, the first president of the United States? What the hell does he know? I'm Smiley Miley. I'm Mad Dog Mattis. Look what's going on. What's going on? When I was a kid, you know what they called Taiwan? Formosa. How long has this been going back between China and Taiwan? Oh, and America's going to bring freedom and democracy. Oh, yeah, you did a great job in Vietnam. Every day I used to wake up. I was prime draft meter. They're going to get me. They're going to get me. You did a great job in Iraq. Only killed up, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, between 850,000 to 1.3 million. Great job in Afghanistan. Terrific. Only 20 years and you left billions of dollars of weapons behind. But we're going to bring freedom and democracy. There's a great book. It was called War's a Racket by General Smedley Butler, the most decorated Marine in history. He wrote it in the 1930s. War's a Racket. He talks about how, what he did to bring Standard Oil into China, the Brown brothers, so they could do banking in Haiti and Cuba, one after another. You think we'd be in Libya and eastern Syria and Iraq if their major export was broccoli and not oil? It's a criminal act. Again, George Washington, his words to the American people, and now with the Ukraine war. You ready for this? Europe has a set of primary interests, which to us have none, or a very remote relation. Hence, she must be engaged in frequent controversies, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concerns. Oh, you got the Ukraine war? Oh, yeah. Hey, Americans, find Ukraine on the map. They're taking down the statue of Catherine the Great. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, she hated the Ukrainians. When did that go back to? Oh, about 1750? You mean this is going on back and forth to them since 1750 and you want me to get involved in this? Oh, we're going to bring freedom and democracy. I've been hearing that line all my life. And just quickly, Trends Journal, spring 2014. You see the picture? United States overthrow of the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in 2014, chapter and verse, written by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan.
So, Gerald, the solution for you is stop getting involved. For you, it's just America, stay out of it. Am I correct to say that?
100%. I'm an American. I believe in the founding fathers. Another guy, his name was Dwight D. Eisenhower, 5-star general, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. Farewell address, January 17th, 1961. He warns the American people that the military-industrial complex is robbing the nation of the genius of the sciences, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. And that this never existed, this military-industrial complex, until after World War II. Oh, and again, who's our defense head? Lloyd Austin. Comes from Raytheon, the second largest defense contractor. America only has 800 military bases overseas in over 70 countries. Oh, that's fine. What are we doing over there? Now, I launched a whole movement called Occupy Peace. I had a big rally here on July 23rd. Judge Andrew Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Phil Giraldi, former CIA guy, who, by the way, quit the CIA because he knew, and the whole CIA, he said, knew that they were lying, that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda, and Gary Noah, Progressive Radio Network. We sent out thousands and tens of thousands of press releases about this rally. It was packed. The streets are packed. Not one mention. Not one mention. You're not allowed to talk about peace. How dare you, Celente? And the people, again, have no facts of what happened. By the way, the reason they overthrew Yanukovych was because he had made a deal with the IMF and the EU. Europe, don't believe me, the European Union called Ukraine the most corrupt nation in Europe and one of the most corrupt nations in the world. They elected a guy that played a comedian on a sitcom to become president, Zelensky. Oh, and he promised that he was going to get rid of the oligarchs that were running the corruption. Join the club. Read The Guardian. They even wrote about it. So now they overthrew Yanukovych because Putin gave him a better deal. Listen, I'll give you lower interest rates and I'll cut your oil prices. Okay, you got a deal. Oh, and then the other one, again, I write about this in detail for years. The deal was that NATO would not move 1 inch further. That was the deal made with Gorbachev. That's the quote coming out of James Baker's mouth. And now there were 16 NATO nations, and now there are what? Almost 30? Oh, Europe and Canada. Wouldn't we love it if the Russians had missiles aiming at us from Canada and the Chinese were down in Mexico with missiles? And again, I'm totally against Russia's invasion, to make it clear. And if the Chinese, the Iranians, and everybody that the Americans are taught to hate, the Russians, had fleets off the coast of New York and California, oh, they'd love it. They'd love it. It's fine. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Nobody has a killing track record better than America since I'm a kid, since the end of World War II. Oh, and all their brilliant strategies, hey, man, haven't won a war since. Oh, yeah, but we're going to do it this time.
Gerald, let's bring it back to the economy. Obviously, you've painted a very somber landscape and picture here. I know offline we were talking, and you were saying, you're just not in a good place. If you don't mind me sharing, you're obviously upset with the state. And I'm just curious to know what you're doing. And I always like asking you this question, so I think it's so important, how you're protecting yourself in the current environment.
Well, as I say, GC's 3Gs, guns, gold, and a getaway plan. But this time there'll be no getaway plan because, again, I'm not the only one saying. You look at the magazine cover, the Trends Journal, 2 days before Russia invaded Ukraine. COVID war, Ukraine war, world war. When all else fails, they take you to war. This economy's failed. It's a joke. Oh, $60 billion to Ukraine about now? Oh, since February 24th? And the roads are rotting, homeless all over the streets. People can't make ends meet. You see the data that comes out. So for me, the gold prices should be $2,500 an ounce. I'm not making this up when I say it's a crime syndicate. Hey, I'm Jamie Dimon. What did I make? $35 million last year? Oh, what happened? Wasn't J.P. Morgan convicted of 5 felonies? Hey, how come he's not in jail? Oh, and one of them? Rigging the precious metals market? Oh, shut up, Celente. Don't be angry. Oh, and don't forget, roll out the red carpet every time the president or anybody else walks down it.
Let me ask you this, okay? You mentioned gold manipulation, obviously making headlines this summer. It's not the first time we've seen this story, right? Now, here's the riddle for you, okay, Gerald? If the spoofers have been caught, right? Whoever was rigging the gold market at JP Morgan's headed to jail. They've been fined. We have inflation over 9%. Why isn't gold much higher?
Again, it's rigged. The proof is there. Because they don't want, the two things they don't want to happen. They don't want the equity markets to crash, and they don't want gold prices to skyrocket to where they should go, because then the little people will know how bad it is. They don't know how bad it is until the markets crash. Gold prices should have been skyrocketing for the last 3 years.
Why would they care? Why would they want to shield that reality from the little people of knowing how bad it is? They've done it in the past, in the 90s.
Well, again, not like now, because the crisis that we're facing now is unprecedented. Unprecedented. The countless trillions of dollars that they've pumped into the economies around the world. Around the world. You're going to see, it's the new world disorder. You're looking at the emerging markets. Why is the dollar strong? The dollar's strong because all the other ones are so weak. Again, listen to the crap that's spewed out of the mouths of the central bankers. And now the European Union aggressively raised interest rates from minus 0.50 basis points to 0 interest rates. What, are you kidding me? What do they got? An 8.6% inflation rate? And the IMF I mentioned before? If you borrow money from the IMF, they tell you to raise your interest rates 1% above inflation, which means that our interest rates should be, 10.1%? Europe should be 9.6%. Look at the data coming out of Germany. The biggest, richest country, down, everything down, everything down. And by the way, people complain, through communism. Yeah, it is dictatorial. As you know, there was a guy by the name of Mussolini. Listen to his quote. What's fascism? The merger of state and corporate powers. Got it? We're going to buy corporate bonds, junk bonds. You're just a piece of garbage. You can go to, we don't care what happens to you. Hey, you're too big to fail. It's fascism by the definition of Mussolini. Not mine, his. They're in total control. They're in total control. A story just came out this last Monday in the Wall Street Journal about a gambling deal done in North Carolina, South Carolina, and how everybody's involved, and the politicians, daughters, sons, husbands, whatever, behind the scenes are making money on the deal. Again, it's a crime syndicate that people call a government.
Gerald, I feel your pain. I feel your pain, and I hope, I'd like to see you smile again soon.
Well, I've been forecasting trends now 42 years. Selling books, magazines since 1991. My business is to look ahead, and I see the future, and it's hell on earth. We're not talking. World War II is an ancient history. I own 3 of the most historic buildings in America because I bought them when I came back from Berlin. And I said, how could they? Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out. Why didn't the people stop it? Isn't Dresden a lovely place? And now they're ramping up this war. World War III has begun. It's not a proxy war. We're at war. America's sending, and NATO's sending these billions and billions of dollars of weapons to keep bloodying the killing field, not a peep about peace. And so what I'm saying is they're going to say World War III began when there's going to be a nuclear something or a false flag event. Just like the crap they teach us when we're kids. World War I began when they assassinated the Archduke Ferdinand in Sarajevo. What's an Archduke? What's a Sarajevo? You mean nothing was going on before that? No. And World War II began when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. All right? So it's begun. You hear the hatred being spewed out every day. When I was a kid, they had us hiding under a desk in case an atom bomb went off, dropped by the Russians. It's the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned us about.
Well, just on that note, I read a report from the Washington Post saying that the nuclear threat is higher now than in the Cold War. This is from British officials warning about this. That basically a breakdown in dialogue among rival powers is raising the risk of nuclear war with fewer safeguards now than during the Cold War, to your point, Gerald.
And to illustrate the idiocy, You mentioned Pelosi might go to Taiwan. They're doing air raid drills in Taiwan with people kneeling down and putting their hands over their head. You can see the pictures. And 3 weeks ago, they ran a duck and cover drill in New York City where this woman comes out and said, okay, a nuclear explosion has happened. Now, don't get excited. I'm going to tell you what to do. Here are the 3 steps. I'm not making this up. We've been trying to get, we've been going after the emergency management group over there that put this together. We put in the complaints. They refuse to tell us how much this commercial cost. They refuse to tell us we want the scientific data of the 3 steps. They won't give us anything. They're making this crap up, but they're scaring the hell out of people.
Your friend Greg Manarino was on last week and told us about that. I guess to wrap, if you don't mind me sharing a personal story, Gerald, not to embarrass you, because we always just see you as, Gerald, the trends forecaster, the investor, but you are also Gerald with a heart. And I just want to thank you because maybe folks had seen my coverage back in Zurich in, June. I was awfully sick in Zurich. A lot of the audience noticed, you noticed, and you kept calling, making sure I was doing okay. And you put me in touch with one of your famous doctor friends who got me back on track. Okay. So I just want to thank you because you're very caring and very compassionate. And I like to share the other side of the person that people maybe don't see in the interview. So thank you, friend. Thank you, Gerald.
No, thank you. I appreciate so much what you do. No, I love having a good time, I want to boogie before the lights go out. I like to have fun. And they've sucked the joy out of life. This town where I am is dead. It's dead at night. It was the liveliest place. People from New York City flooded up here, one place after another, going out of business. The business is dead. And now with inflation hitting, I got to fill up my car. $88? I mean, I could afford it, but how about these people that can't?
Yeah.
No, what they've done to this country, this is terrible. And if we don't have a new movement, we're going to go down hard and fast.
Well, you mentioned the gas prices, and I was having this exact conversation with my husband, $88, $100 to fill up whatever car. How are people going to be able to go to their jobs? Doesn't make sense. It costs more to go to work, Gerald.
I know. And that's why you're going to see the office occupancy rate continue to go down. This is going to be the biggest real estate crisis ever documented in modern history. And again, it's the new world. Part of it makes a lot of sense. I mean, here we are, we're Zoomed together. I'm not in, back in the day, I'd go down,
You came to Wall Street.
Right. So it's a different world now. So the implications of this are going to be far-reaching. But again, when all else fails, they take you to war. Well,
I always say this. I really hope you're wrong, Gerald. But I do hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. And I thank you always for coming on and enlightening us. Thank you for being part of my summer series.
And thank you for having me.
We will see you soon. And thank you all for watching. We'll have much more great, insightful content coming your way. So be sure to stay tuned and sign up at danielacambone.com so you can stay on top of all these amazing interviews. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.